Hello and welcome to another Voice of Europe from the Press Project in Greece. I'm Christos Datsios. A couple of days ago I had the chance to watch a documentary about the first SYRIZA government and the negotiations that took place between this government and the European creditors of our country. It was a very interesting documentary, so I decided to speak with Theopi Skarlatos, the director of the documentary. The documentary was narrated and produced by Paul Mason, which you all know since we've already had an interview with him. Theopi, hello and thank you for coming. Before we start, we have a small teaser from the documentary, so if you would like, we could watch it.
Yeah.
And our viewers too.
What gives you strength?
I think that the trust of the people, this is very important for me. And sometimes when I feel very big pressure, I'm going to walk outside and I feel this trust and this supporting. It is very, very important. And my belief that we're doing something important.
So, Theopi, just a couple of questions for you. First of all, why did you decide on a documentary and not a media report or a film or something like that?
Well, I mean, so I come from a journalistic background, and a lot of reporters, a lot of people from mainstream media, when they're covering the crisis, they rock up to Greece and you know, they might spend a few days here, or they might cover the economics of the situation, the politics of the situation, but perhaps they don't have enough time as they would like to really go into a theme or a subject and look at it in the way that we were able to, because pretty much we spent the whole of last year making this documentary. And it all started out really in a short film, a short documentary, 15-minute film that we decided to make in January, and that was documenting the rise of this strange radical left party that looked like it might come to power. And when it did, it was kind of impossible to put the cameras down. So we knew that we had to try and continue filming in some way, not really knowing what exactly, you know, we wanted to do probably at the beginning. But then we managed to kind of raise enough money to sort of keep people on the ground, keep our cameras rolling, and that's how the documentary initially took shape.
You managed to get some amazing footage from inside the corridor, inside the closed rooms where all the changes and all the negotiations and all the thinking was made. Was this a government which was happy to show you everything? Did you get full access?
No, I think, you know, it's impossible it was impossible for anybody to get complete access, but there is a level of trust that you have to obtain as a filmmaker, and I think because we kind of spent so much time in January filming the short film, we spent so much time with the campaigners and the SYRIZA youth and you know, SYRIZA MPs, that we kind of got to form that relationship there at the beginning, which put us ahead, I suppose, in that sense.
You have also included in your narrative. You've also included a part of the population, those who at the time were pro-SYRIZA, for the government. They were demonstrating with the government, and And I have to say, having lived through this period myself, it was very well made in the sense that it managed to convey exactly what was happening in the streets of Athens.
Well, there was this amazing atmosphere in the air ever since, you know, the initial election win, or even before that in January, and just the air seemed to smell different. And it was, you know, because there did seem to be hope. And I remember thinking, you know, for the last few years, nobody was really, it didn't feel like anybody was really doing anything. Nobody was kind of out there demonstrating. Nobody felt like they had anything to fight for. And then slowly, bit by bit, by the time we got to January, it just felt like the whole atmosphere had changed. And so in terms of the narrative, we knew that we really wanted to look at the situation at a political level and what was going on as much as we could do behind the corridors of, you know, within the corridors of power. But then at the same time, it was really important for us to kind of look at this atmosphere of hope and you know, what was going on the ground as well, with just, you know, normal everyday people. So there were sort of two layers to the documentary in that sense that we tried to keep alive as we were filming. Yeah.
About this hope, we've all lived through that period, and we have seen how this period included the first part where the hope was very, very high, and Greeks and the government believed that they could in fact change the behavior of Europe, of the Eurozone towards Greece. And then we saw the capitulation, the complete change and the negation of all hope.
Well, there's always this sense for me that the people were stronger than the politicians, in the sense that they really, you know, believed that they could change things. They really, I don't know if I'm right, but I really feel like although society was so polarized at that point, you know, during the referendum, it felt like half of the society were really, you know, prepared to just kind of give everything up, but retain their dignity. And then there was a complete, you know, sort of opposing side of society that didn't want to lose that connection still with Europe. So it was really strange to kind of see Greece in that situation completely polarized like that. And I think that it's so clear when you look at it and when you see it in the film that the people always felt like they were stronger than the politicians who, you know, eventually didn't live up to the promises that they made back in January.
Yeah, I know the title of the documentary, This is a Coup, came to you during the most dramatic part of the negotiation between the Eurozone and the Greek Prime Minister. And if you would like to tell us a little bit about this, because it was a key moment in the way Europeans started understanding what's happening in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, the message spread everywhere. I mean, if you look at the graphic in the documentary and see, you know, all the different countries that, you know, people were tweeting this hashtag from, it's amazing to see people tweeting that, and people really sort of, Greece being, you know, literally on the map, and people wanting to know what exactly was going on. And still to this day, you know, I really don't know who knows, apart from, you know, the man himself, what actually happened in that room behind closed doors.
A question I've always had for people who decide to follow a specific narrative. You now know things that you didn't know then. You now know what has happened to this whole negotiation and the first period of the first radical left government of Greece. Would you have changed anything at that time? Would you have told the story differently?
I think really the only thing that a filmmaker can hope to do is gain as much access as you can in order to cover what was happening at the time as much as you can. And I think I can definitely say that we did our best in doing that. And we were given great access. You know, Parliament. We were able to film in Parliament, and personally, I think that is amazing, as, you know, a record that will stand the test of time and be there, you know, in Greek history for anybody who wants to see it. But would I change anything in the narrative? Not really, because I don't really think we were trying to, as filmmakers, tell a particular story. I really do think that, you know, we were trying to kind of document the story of the left as it happened. And we only, you know, can kind of create that story based on what we actually saw. So I really tried to tell this story as I saw it, as a person, as, you know, all the other people in the documentary, Dina, Elias, saw it also with their own eyes. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, at the same time, it is up to the viewer or the person who's watching the documentary to kind of make their own conclusion at the end. And I really don't think that we sort of had a message to deliver with this documentary. I think we just tried to tell the story as it happened.
What's amazing to me is that some of the strongest moments of the documentary have to do with the demonstrations of the people at a time when, I say again, the people were demonstrating for the government. Now, as you know, since the documentary, we've had new elections and we had SYRIZA coming back to power, but they have capitulated to the will of the Eurozone, so they now have to impose a new deal, and we now have demonstrations against the government.
Which is great, because people always have to make their voices heard.
That's a new documentary.
Yeah, and actually my fear was, after we finished filming the documentary and after this third bailout deal was signed, that people wouldn't go out on the streets anymore, and that because there was this strange eeriness, this strange quiet atmosphere after the deal was signed, and you'll see, because we interviewed Dina, who the actress who's in our documentary, kind of in Syntagma Square below the Parliament, and nobody really knows what to say or what's going on, and it was a very strange time, and I did wonder then whether people would just sort of, you know, go back into their houses and think, well, that's it, you know, we can't do anything, or whether they, you know, would continue to demonstrate. So actually it is great to see, and you know, I have heard members of SYRIZA themselves say, we encourage this and we want this, and I don't think that they would say otherwise. I think, yeah, people should never stop.
Yeah, we've talked about it, and you told me that it was your decision to stay within Greece and to film and tell us a story only from the Greek side, from inside the government and the people. But at the same time, something similar was happening in Europe, in the Eurozone. Let's say against Greece, against what we were trying to do. From what you have seen, have you got any idea of the way Europe works when it faces such an opposition?
Well, we were never allowed to go and, you know, film those meetings. So, I mean, no, we can only, you know, trust the accounts of people who were in them, you know, like Euclid and Varoufakis, and, you know, people who are actually in them and what they say. And I know that that Varoufakis is you know, is writing a lot of things, and you know, I'm sure that he has a lot more to say about what actually went on. But I mean, first of all, it was kind of impossible for us to even try and tell that story from over there, because it would have involved us paying for cameramen over there to do their job. And we had a certain amount of money from crowdfunding, but actually documentaries can be quite expensive to make. And so, you know, we in the end, you know, we chose to tell the story from here, because we knew that was the best job that we could do.
Yeah. So I would like to thank you and congratulate you on a very, very good job. I enjoyed it very much. And I strongly urge you to watch the documentary. It's called This is a Coup, and you can find it in YouTube for free. And this was Christos Datsios for the Real News Network, the Press Project and the Voice of Europe. Thank you.